Okay, Wildcats, here we're going to journal page 28, factoring polynomials. Factoring polynomial steps. Step 1, find the greatest common factor, or GCF. If you have a trinomial ax squared plus bx plus c, then factor if possible. Step 2, factor ax squared plus bx plus c using the reverse box method. Okay, so if you would write that down, and we're going to explain the reverse box method starting on example 2. Okay, so now let's take a look at example number 1. Now, example number 1. Now, it's not a trinomial, so you look for the greatest common factor. In this case, we look at what is the greatest number we can divide from each of these. Well, 3 divides into 6 and 15, so we know 3. And then it looks like we can divide an x out of both, so it's 3x. So then you ask yourself, well, what do you multiply 3x by that gives you 6x squared? Well, 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared, so that's 2x. And then what do you multiply 3x to give you negative 15x? That's minus 5. Okay, there's nothing else to factor. You can check your work by multiplying. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x, so this is factored. Okay. Example 2. You want to look to see if there's a greatest common factor. In this case, the greatest common factor is 1. And when it's 1, you don't need to factor out a 1 from the trinomial. Okay. So now we move to step 2, and we're going to factor using the reverse box method. Okay. All right. Now, first term goes right here. Last term goes right here. Okay. Now you ask yourself, what do you multiply to give you x squared? The answer to that's 1x and 1x. Now we need to find out what numbers multiply to give you 6 and combine to be negative 5. Okay. So let's make a table here. Multiply and combine. Okay, so let's find all the combinations. Now, in order to get multiply give you a positive number and combine to be a negative, the numbers have to be negative. So negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. Negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. We're looking for negative 5, so we continue. Okay, so now let's try negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. This combination works, so we know that this will be minus 2 and this will be minus 3. Okay, so 1x times negative 2 is negative 2x, and negative 3 times 1 is negative 3x. Negative 3 and negative 2 combine to be negative 5x, which is that term. So this is your factors. So 1x minus 2 times 1x minus 3. Okay, go ahead and finish up example 2. All right, example 3. Now, whenever you have a negative term in the first term, a term, you want to factor that out. So we're going to factor out a negative 1, which leaves 1x squared minus 3x minus 4. You never want a negative term in the a term, okay, when factoring. And you can see that this factors correctly because negative 1 times 1x squared is negative x squared. Negative 1 times negative 3 is a positive 3. And negative 1 times negative 4 is a positive 4. Okay? Now we're going to factor using the reverse box method. Okay? Now, first term, last term, and we're not going to worry about the negative 1 until the end because that's going to be part of our answer. Okay? Now, we know that 1x times 1x makes 1x squared. Now we need to find all the combinations that multiply to give you negative 4 and combine to be positive 3. Now you don't need to write multiply, combine at the top, but I would recommend doing that. Oh, got a little blur there. Okay, now in order for, we're looking at this, in order for the last number to be negative and the middle number to be negative, you have to multiply a positive by a negative. So 1 times negative 4 is negative 4, and then 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Well, that works. So our factors are x plus 1 and x minus 4. So 1x times 1 is 1x. Negative 4 times 1x is negative 4x. Negative 4x and 1x combined to be negative 3x. So that works. So our factors are negative 1 times 1x plus 1 times 1x minus 4. All right, going to finish up example 3. All right, example 4. Now, there's no greatest common factor because you cannot divide all three numbers by a number. So now we're going to factor using the reverse box method. Okay. So first term, last term. Now we have to figure out what makes 2x squared. Well, 2x times 1x. Okay. So multiply, combine, okay, so now we have to figure out all the combinations to make positive 3. Well, let's start with 1 times 3. I always start with 1, then I go to 2, then I go to 3. You just go in order because you find all the combinations quickly. Now, this one's a little complicated in that you have to multiply the first number by 2 and the second number by 1. So when you combine, that's 2 times 1 plus 1 times 3, which that's 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay. We don't have 7, so we need to try another combination. Well, 2 times doesn't work, so now it's 3 times 1. Okay, so then that'd be 2 times 3 plus 1 times 1, which 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. This works. So since you're multiplying the 2 times the 3 goes here, because 2 times a 3. And since you're multiplying the 1 times the 1 goes here. Okay? So 2x times 3 is 6x. 1 times 1 is 1x. 1x plus 6x combines to be 7x. So that works. So our factors are 1x plus 3 times 2x plus 1. Okay, go ahead and finish up example 4. All right, example 5. There's no greatest common factor, so we're going to factor using the reverse box method. Okay, so first term, last term. Okay, so we know 1x and 1x makes 1x squared. Now we need to find all the combinations that make 25 and combine to be 10. So multiply, combine. Okay, so the first combination is 1 times 25 is 25, and then 1 plus 25 is 26. Okay, that doesn't work. So now let's go into 2. 2 doesn't work. 3 times doesn't work. 4 doesn't work. 5 times 5 is 25, and 5 plus 5 is 10. So that works. So we know it's going to be x plus 5 and x plus 5. Okay, well, 1x times 5 is 5x. 5 times 1x is 5x. 5x and 5x combined to be 10x. So this is factored as x plus 5 times x plus 5, which is equivalent to x plus 5 squared. Okay, go ahead and finish up example 5. All right, example 6. Now, here, when you have an x squared and a constant, you need to fill this equation in to be 9x squared. You need to add the 0x minus 4 when factoring. Okay, so we're going to factor using the reverse box method. Okay, so first term, last term. Okay, now this one's more difficult in that we have 2 combinations that could work. We have 9x and 1x and 3x and 3x. Let's try 3x and 3x first. Okay, now if that doesn't work, we need to erase all that and then do 9x and 1x. Okay, now we need to find all the combinations to make -4 and combine to be 0. So multiply, combine. Okay, well, 1 times -4 is -4. And then we have to multiply both numbers by 3. So 3 times 1 plus 3 times -4. Well, that's 3 minus, or I'm sorry, 3 minus 3, 6, 9, 12. So that's -9. That doesn't work. So now 2 times -2 is -4. So then that's 3 times 2 plus 3 times negative 2. Well, that's 6 minus 6, which is 0. We have the middle term, so we know that this will be 3x plus 2, 3x minus 2. So 3x times 2 is 6x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6x. So negative 6x and 6x combine to be 0x. So we have our factors, which are 3x plus 2, 3x minus 2. Okay. Go ahead and finish up example 6. All right, let's take a look at example 7. Okay, now it looks like here we have a greatest common factor of 4. So we can divide everything by 4. So 12x squared divided by 4 is 3x squared. 20x divided by 4 is plus 5x. And negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. Now we're not going to worry about the 4 until the end. That will be part of our solution. Okay, now we're going to factor using a reverse box method. Okay, so first term, last term, and we need to multiply and combine. And you can abbreviate multiply if you want. You just put MULT. We can fill it in and combine. Okay, now we need to find all the combinations to make negative 2. So 1 times negative 2 works. Okay, that equals negative 2. So now we know that this is 3x and this is 1x. So we need to multiply the first number by 3, the second number by 1. So that's 3 times 1 plus 1 times negative 1. Well, that's 3 minus 1 is 2. That doesn't work. Okay. So now let's try 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2. So 3 times 2 plus 1 times negative 1. Oh, wait a second. Made a mistake here. That should be 3 times 1 and 1 times negative 2. Because this number goes here, this number goes here. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Either way, that still doesn't give us the 5. So now 3 times 2 is 6, minus 1 is 5. That works. So now because you're multiplying the 3 times the 2 goes right here, and the negative 1 goes here. So 3x times 2 is 6x. Negative 1 times 1x is negative 1x. 6x minus 1x is 5x, so that works. So our factors are 4 times 1x plus 2 times 3x minus 1. Okay, finish up example 7. All right, last example. First thing we're going to do is factor out the greatest common factor, which in this case it looks like it's 5, so we can divide a 5 by everything. So then that becomes 25x squared divided by 5 is 5x squared, minus 45 divided by 5 is 9. But again, you want to incorporate the 0x, so that's 5, parentheses 5x squared plus 0x minus 9. Okay. Now, we're not going to worry about the 5 until the end. Now let's factor using the reverse box method. All right, so first term is 5x squared. Last term is negative 9. Okay? And we need to multiply and combine. Okay? We know only combination that makes 5x squared is 5x and 1x. So we need to find all the combinations to make negative 9. Well, 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. So now we need to multiply the first term by 5 and the second term by 1. So 5 times 1 plus 1 times negative 9 is negative 4. We're looking for 0x, so it doesn't work. Now let's try 3 times negative 3, which equals negative 9. Okay. Well, 5 times 3 plus 1 times negative 3 is 15 minus 3 is 12. The only other combination is negative 3. Oh, I'm sorry. 9 times negative 1. Okay. So 5 times 9 plus 1 times negative 1, that is 44. Now, we actually left one out. We can actually do negative 3 and 3, okay, which still equals negative 9. So we would do 5 times negative 3 plus 1 times 3. Well, that's negative 12. I'm sorry, negative 15 plus 3 would negative 12. Now, if you go through all the combinations and none of them work, we would say that this is not factorable. Okay? All right, so go ahead and finish up example 8, start working on your assignment, and have a wonderful Wildcat day.